Hello and welcome back to Kendo Nagasaki 101, the channel where you can find out all about the mystical and spiritual work of Kendo Nagasaki, the masked wrestler and mystic. My name is Atlantis and I'm the current spokesperson for Kendo. Okay, we're picking up from the video in which fate has brought Yogensha into the sphere of influence of Count Bartelli, a successful masked wrestler and businessman, who would give Yogensha the perfect environment for visualizing the final form which the Nagasaki spirit would take in professional wrestling. This is a time in which Yogensha's inner life becomes incredibly intense, as he is guided to bring everything into focus. Yogensha saw himself as if walking through a tunnel high in the mountains. He was high up among the clouds. The inspiration of the sun was close, but it was misty, so the sunlight caused a dazzling glare, through which he could not quite see his goal, yet. The Nagasaki spirit had long been presenting Yogensha with the image of the Kendo helmet. It was, of course, a practical part of the armour for the modern sword sport of Kendo, but Nagasaki intended it to represent a metaphor. Kendo is a sword sport which was developed from the sword skills of the samurai by none other than the 16th and 17th century Japanese master swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, author of a Book of Five Rings. As the modern sport of Kendo represents samurai sword skills distilled into a new form for a new time, Yogensha has told us that the Nagasaki spirit intended the Kendo helmet to symbolize the application of his own centuries-old wisdom and experience to the modern West, with Yogensha as the vehicle. However, it's hardly practical to wrestle in a Kendo helmet, so the Nagasaki spirit had kept the image vague, and Yogensha came to see that he could effectively represent the Kendo helmet via a wrestling mask with a Kendo helmet grill design on it. One moment, Yogensha's mind had been a blank canvas, and the next the image of the striped mask was there. It was perfect. The wrestling mask represented for Nagasaki what the helmet represented for Kendo, old skills and wisdom for a new time and place. The striped wrestling mask, symbolizing so much and as worn by Yogensha, would be the face of the Nagasaki spirit. Of course, no samurai is complete without his sword, and the sword which Abbe had given to Yogensha now found its true purpose. It would be worn on the approach to battle, and brandished in the face of the enemy, but then surrendered to the skills appropriate to that arena. Also emerging from the vague imagery was an impression from another of the Nagasaki spirit's past lives, in which he had been a warrior priest. After the intensity of Kamakura came a lifetime when the soul of the spiritual samurai found himself living in a time of peace throughout Japan, so there was no longer a need for swordsmen. However, such focus as had been learned in Kamakura is not easily cast aside, and a great many samurai dedicated themselves to Zen and studied the arts in pursuit of deeper and higher knowledge and understanding of themselves and the universe. The Nagasaki spirit became a fantastic soul, impossibly strong and wise, materially possessing only the robes on his back and a rice bowl, but having a spiritual vision which penetrated the very depths of the universe. Thus, to represent the Nagasaki spirit's warrior priest robes, a simple cape would be worn when he appeared to the wrestling public. And so, after years of preparation, of finding himself drawn magnetically towards a shrouded destiny, everything had become clear to Yogensha in a matter of a few days. He could now see exactly how he would appear as the vehicle for the Nagasaki spirit, and with that vision came the final part of the puzzle. Because the sword sport Kendo was so fundamental to what the Nagasaki spirit stood for, the word Kendo would form a part of his name also. Yogensha would be the physical vehicle for the spirit guide who went by the name of Kendo Nagasaki. He had emerged from the mists and now stood in the bright, renewing, energizing sun on top of the mountain of spiritual consciousness. Now that his destiny was clear, Yogensha acquired a new single-minded determination to take care of the practicalities. He found a seamstress to make his signature wrestling mask and his cape, and he set about acquiring new Kendo armour. Perhaps the biggest change in Yogensha's experience was when he meditated. Now that he could see the big picture of his collaboration with Nagasaki, he began to see what lay behind the spirit guide's own motivations. The word samurai is derived from the Japanese word for service, as in service in defense of a great house. The principle of being ready to lay down one's life for one's rulers and what they represent requires an unshakable faith in their rectitude. Nagasaki shared with Yogensha that the principle he now served was that of the enlightenment of humanity leading to their empowerment, and that he had seen how he could be instrumental in this work. Nagasaki also shared that his part of the work could only be done from the spiritual planes. Only from there did he have the vision which could make a difference, and also access to the healing energies which he had now been channeling through Yogensha for so many years. In light of all the foregoing, a great peace came to Yogensha. His path was now clear, and he could devote himself to it without reservation or hesitation. Shortly after his first Kendo Nagasaki mask arrived, he meditated to connect with the spiritual samurai, and the first ever photograph of Kendo Nagasaki was taken. He was performing a feat much more difficult than the picture suggests. He was not simply doing a one-handed handstand, he was hopping forwards on one hand, actually covering distance at walking pace, an extreme display of strength, agility and balance that was typical of Kendo Nagasaki. This photograph, like the first ever promotional flyer picture for Kendo Nagasaki, was taken appropriately on the lawns of Count Bartelli's home, thus completing the circle of Bartelli's mentoring support of Yogensha and his journey towards destiny, the debut of the brand new masked professional wrestler who would change history, Kendo Nagasaki. Well, once again, my time is up for this video, so please do come back to hear some more about the great Kendo Nagasaki. Thank you for watching. I'm Atlantis, and I hope to see you all again very soon. So, as Kendo would say, onwards. Bye-bye.